for joining us for today's webinar with Michael Ross and High Performance. Before we begin, let's review a few housekeeping items. You'll notice at the bottom of your screen are multiple tools that you can use. All of these engagement tools are resizable and movable, so you're welcome to move them around to get the most out of your monitor space. You can maximize the Media Viewing tab by clicking on the arrows in the top right corner. If you have any questions during the webcast, you can submit them through the Q&A engagement tool. We will answer these questions during the webcast, but if we run out of time, they will be answered later via email. Additional help materials are available in the related content tool. We encourage you to download any resources or links that you may find helpful. Please feel free to reach out to someone from the team via the Contact Us box. For your best viewing experience, we suggest closing any other programs or other browser sessions running in the background that could cause issues. You can find additional answers to some common technical issues in the Help tool at the bottom of your screen. At the conclusion of today's webinar, you will receive a survey on the presentation materials. We would appreciate it if you can please provide your feedback. You'll also receive a follow-up email within 24 to 48 hours with a link to view a recording of today's webinar. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Michael.
Hi, I'm Michael B. Ross with HBK's High Performance Division, and I want to welcome you to the webinar. Today we're going to be talking about how to become unshakable and creating stability in an unstable environment. Things have been challenging and rough for the last few years. And if the Great Resignation has taught us one thing, it's that everybody is a free agent. Organizations worldwide have lost valuable personnel and have struggled to replace them. Inflation has caused workers to seek wage increases, and business owners are stretching their budgets, increasing prices, and trimming expenses to make room for the increased wages. Yet even signing bonuses, increased wages, options for flex work arrangements, and accelerated paths for promotion, business owners are still having a difficult time finding high-value personnel. And so far, in 2020, roughly 28 million people have quit their jobs. And according to McKinsey & Company, of the people who quit without a new job in hand, close to half chose to return to the workforce. Only 47% chose to return to the workforce, but only 29% went back to traditional full-time jobs. And the remaining 18% of people either found a new role with reduced work hours through temporary gig or part-time employment, or decided to start their own business. In a press release in April, the White House reported that new business applications grew by more than 30%, with almost 5.4 new business applications in 2022 alone. So in short, people are quitting their jobs, they're leaving their industries, and they're choosing to stay home or start their own business. So the big question is, what happened? Here's my belief. For too long, people have felt unseen, underappreciated, and underutilized for the value they bring their organizations. And as horrible as the pandemic, the shutdowns, and the mandates were, the good thing that came out of it was people were forced off their metaphoric hamster wheel of habit and were able to evaluate their lives. And through that evaluation, people woke up to the fact that they are free agents. They do have a choice, and they have chosen to say no more to poor leadership and toxic cultures and take control of their lives. So where does this leave the small to medium-sized business owner, operator, entrepreneur who's trying to deliver products and services to their customer on time with quality? Call me an eternal optimist, if you will. But I believe this puts business owners in the best place they can be. A place where they're forced to challenge fixed mindsets that have led to these kind of consequences and become intentional about the way they think, behave, and communicate to their team. I think about this story of Chick-fil-A. And during the 80s and early 90s, there was another chicken company named Boston Market. And Boston Market was growing at a fast clip. They were popping up franchises everywhere, all over the country. And this scared the executives at Chick-fil-A. And during one meeting, a bunch of executives and the owner, Truett Cathy, were sitting at a big boardroom table. And people are arguing back and forth. We have to grow. We have to keep up with this growing Boston Market. They're going to take us out of business. They're going to take all of our customer base. We got to grow. We got to grow. We got to grow. And Truett Cathy was writing something on a little board. Executives continued to argue about the strategy they needed to use and where they needed to start. And Truett Cathy ended up holding up this board that said, better before bigger. And everyone stopped and sat down in their chairs, and they stared at Truett Cathy, and he started slamming the table, and he said, I want to make it better before we make it bigger. And essentially what Truett Cathy was saying is, I want to make sure that we are very clear about the value of our business and the value that it provides to the marketplace. He wanted to get down to the value of each team member and how to bring out the most value in every team member. And then he wanted to create systems of leaders and people of leadership who were able to take the value of Chick-fil-A, the value of each team member, in order to provide the most value for their customer base. And so they became very intentional about those three things. And Chick-fil-A is now the most profitable fast food chain in the world by far, and they're not even open on Sundays. It's because they were intentional about communicating the value of their business, demonstrating the value of each team member, and radiating leadership excellence to bring out the most value in their team members and provide the most value to their customers. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I've been to Chick-fil-A a few times. And every time I walk in those doors, I feel extremely valuable with the way that I'm treated. And that's because they are very intentional about creating value for you and for me. And so I want us to stop as leaders for a second. As you hear all these numbers and you're wondering how to get key employees and you're wondering how I'm going to get my products and services out the door, I want you to stop today. And I want you to think better before bigger. And I know it's hard. I know you got a bunch of things on your plate. I know you got emails coming in and text messages, and you got phone calls coming in from team members asking you certain questions. You've got proposals to get out the door. You've got to make sure that you are paying payroll on time, that you onboard new personnel properly, that you get the right software systems in place to help your team members be more effective in their job. I know all that is going on, but I want you to stop for a second. And I want you to think better before bigger. All right, so we're going to cover those three things today. We're going to talk about how you can communicate the value of your business, because if you are going to make your organization better before you make it bigger, you have to be able to communicate the value of your business. You have to know and understand the value you provide to the marketplace. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate to each team member the value that they bring to our organization. And we're going to make sure we're really intentional about talking about key areas that you can express to your team members about the value they bring, so they understand their value and contribution to our clients and customers. The third thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about radiating leadership excellence, and specifically how leaders can bring out the most value in every team member. So let's start with number one: communicate the value of your business. So businesses exist to bring value. value to the marketplace. Whether you're a B2B, B2C, or C2B business, you receive value certificates, which are called money, for the value you provide. And the more value you provide, the more money you make. To grow your business, you either need to bring more value to your current client base, or you need to increase the amount of clients you provide value to. So a few examples of this are construction companies. Construction companies provide value by protecting us, by providing shelter and security. They create stability for hospitals, businesses, and families. Let's go on to healthcare. What's the value healthcare companies provide? They fortify, repair, and extend our lives. They're taking care of the most valuable creation, and that is people. And they fortify, repair, and extend our lives. Healthcare has extreme value. The value provided by financial services. Financial services, they empower us to create a more predictable future, and they allow us to navigate risk with greater confidence. The value provided by manufacturing companies is they provide the needed components that improve our ability to build and achieve. Now, whatever industry you're in, what you have to be clear about is the value you provide, the value you provide the marketplace. We need to be extremely clear about that, because our decision-making processes as leaders should be in context and alignment with the value that we provide, or the value that we want to provide moving forward. So number one is to make sure that we understand the value our businesses provide. Number two is demonstrate the value of each team member. You have to make sure that every team member understands the value within your organization, the critical role that they play. Now, I'll tell you, I personally do not like the word employee. The connotation of the word has become disempowering, where a person punches a clock for a set amount of hours, they do what they're told, they get through the day, they go home to enjoy their lives for a few short hours, they go to sleep, they wake up the next day and repeat the cycle again and again and again. And each person in your organization brings value to your organization, especially in the context of the value they provide your clients and customer base. A person's value in the marketplace is based upon, but not limited to, the following factors: their mindset, their skills, and their connections. When a person has a great mindset, a breadth of skills, and many connections, and are able to solve problems through utilization of their connection, their skills, and their mindset, they are invaluable to your organization. Remember that business is people and people are business. It's just people waking up every day trying to provide for their clients the proper solutions that they need in order to have a better quality of life, so that your clients can reach their dreams and provide for their families. And as your staff does that, they're able to provide for their own dreams and for their families as well. And when you're recruiting new staff, you should always be intentional about thinking through the mindset, skills, and connections you need a person to have, as well as the potential you want them to have, before you ever display a help wanted ad. Be clear and intentional about the value of the position that someone needs to fill and the current value you require from the person filling the role. Hiring is meant to be intentional towards the value that you are providing to the marketplace. Too often, my staff and I hear our clients saying, "We've got to bring people in the door." And they bring bodies in the door, quote unquote, but they do not take the time to assess what value that person is going to provide and the high level value that it provides to our clients. And therefore, people get onboarded into an organization. There's unclear expectations. There is not clarity about the value that they provide. And oftentimes, a new staff member is lost for the first 6 months to a year trying to figure it out on their own. But what would the difference be if you were clear about the value ahead of time that you needed someone to provide and you recruited and onboarded to that value? It is essential that you do that for your culture, but for the quality of the lives of the people that you're bringing into your organization. So the second thing you can do to communicate value is you can learn about your team members. And I recommend you use personality tests. Get to know your people, know your team's strengths, know their goals, know their aspirations, know their dreams, really understand their skill set, their acquired competencies, know what their passions are. And there are many amazing tools that psychologists, sociologists, and behavioral scientists have created for us to really get to know our teams. I personally subscribe to the 5-minute personality test. The big reason is it's simple, printable, and easily accessible to anyone. I recommend you download the PDF version of the 5-minute personality test that's here on the webinar available to you and have every one of your team members take it. Go over the results with them as a group and then utilize it during your one-on-one interactions with them. This will give you a great foundation in tailoring your communication style to the person you're speaking with so that you can draw out the most value in your conversations, but also in helping them really get to know themselves and become more confident in their own gifts, their talents, and their abilities. So I do recommend you go into deeper dives and you do as many personality tests as possible. The more you know about how your team thinks, behaves, communicates individually, you'll be able to help them work together in the thinking, behaving, and communicating as a group. And one thing you can never get away from, no matter how big you get, when you make this better and you start making it bigger, you can never get away from the high value of one-to-one interactions with your team and putting attention on every individual. Don't forget that cultures are people working together in a specific way of life. And so never lose sight of how important it is to get to know each team member individually. There's a limitless value to that. So with that said, let's go into the third point, which is radiate leadership excellence. Now, in the context of the marketplace, the value of a leader is dependent on their ability to multiply value in others. Regardless of the department they lead, powerful leaders understand holistically how their organization provides value to clients. They are clear about the experiences they want their clients to have. They understand how each of their team members contributes to that value and are able to clearly direct that process. And with that knowledge, great leaders turn their attention towards guiding, teaching, training, coaching, and empowering others to become more valuable. Then directing that value towards creating more value to their clients. Now, here's a few ways that you can help team members become more valuable. So communicate, think, behave like a leader at all times. No bad days. What do I mean by that? I mean that you should never throw up down. If you are having a bad day, if you're struggling mentally, emotionally, you need to have a safe place that you can go and express that. But it is not okay for any leader to show up and resonate a bad day with their team, to radiate poor energy to their team, to tear people down because they're frustrated. Something happened at home with their dog or their wife or their kids or some outside circumstance. It's not okay for a leader to bring that in and take it out on their teams. Too often times, people do not pay attention. Leaders do not pay attention to the fact that everything you say and do communicates a message to your team. And we need to be there, ready to inspire, ready to lead, ready to communicate, ready to guide, and ready to teach. So no bad days. And if you are having a struggle with that, It's important that you find a place where you can go to express that. And that's why we always recommend coaching. And it's not just because we're vendors of coaching, we're also clients of coaching. We know the power of being able to go to somebody and express difficult things, circumstances, frustrations, and fears and doubts and worries without taking it out on our team. So another thing that you can do to help provide a lot of value is help other people believe in themselves. So according to Dr. Joe Rubino, 85% of adults do not believe in themselves. And I will tell you, in 14 years of coaching and consulting, I have met many leaders who portray confidence in front of a group. And then when I start to meet with them one-to-one, and I start to ask them what their roadblocks and challenges are, oftentimes it comes down to a person who has a lack of belief in themselves. And they're not performing at their highest level because they do not believe that they have what it takes. They don't believe that they can develop the skills, the talents, and the abilities. They don't have a growth mindset. They have a fixed mindset. And I want to tell you, one of the big things that you can do in order to draw out value from your team and getting under the surface of their lack of confidence is simply care. Care for people. With your eyes, with the way you carry yourself, with your body language, with the way you listen, with the way that you communicate, with your intentionality. Care for people. And the more you care for people, the more they will open up and be vulnerable with you to tell you why they lack belief in themselves. Now, confidence, as people like to talk about a lot, people want more confidence. You want more confidence. I want more confidence. Everybody wants more confidence. But confidence comes from the Latin word confidere, which means to believe in, and to believe in oneself. And so many people are struggling with this. So many people on your team are struggling with this. But when you engage people and help them become more confident in themselves, they will then be able to have the confidence in the skills, talents, and abilities they have to, again, provide more value to your team and to your clients and customers. Believe in people and make sure you take time to care. The next thing is you want to inspire through adversity. Inspire through adversity. Inevitably, when you have established goals and value you're trying to provide to the marketplace and you map out the disciplines to achieve those goals, adversity is going to come. If you're blazing any new trail in life, resistance is a part of the process. You will run into roadblocks and barriers along the way. It's at this time that leaders have to step up and paint a picture of the future as it will be. Remind people of their goals. Remind them of the meaning behind their goals. Remind them that adversity that we're facing is only going to make us stronger. It's important that you allow people in this process the opportunity to fail as well. It's too easy to step in, do people's jobs for them so that the work gets done. What is hard to do as a leader is to allow people to fail, learn from their mistakes, and inspire them to try again. Adversity makes us stronger. Adversity is our greatest ally, not our worst enemy. It is not great leadership to step in and mitigate adversity. It is great leadership to inspire people to fight through the adversity and give them the pleasure of overcoming and reaching their goals. The more people overcome adversity, the stronger they become, the more valuable they become to their organization, the more confident they become in their gifts, their talents, and their abilities. And when people overcome adversity and begin to believe in themselves, the next time they face adversity, they will have a little more strength to fight through it on their own. And that is valuable beyond measure. And that is where people begin to start to think for themselves. They start to provide more solutions. They start to look at things with a growth mindset that says we can versus a fixed mindset that says we can't. And it's up to you as a leader to inspire your people through adversity so they can believe in themselves. And then the last thing is you want to be consistent. Be consistent. Do what you say and say what you do. You will not be followed very far if you're not a person of your word. If you're not honest, if you don't follow through on your promises, if you don't give good feedback, you need to be consistent in saying what you do and doing what you say. And if you do that consistently, and you're consistent in these actions that we talked about today, you'll be able to multiply your value by 3, by 5, by 10. And there is no limit to what you can become and the value your organization can provide in the marketplace. And that, my friends, is what will make you unshakable. Not the things we see, but the things that we do based upon who we are. When we are people of high character, when we do what we say we're going to do, that has a value that multiplies by 3, by 5, by 10. And I want to help any of you who are struggling with these leadership practices and you don't feel like your organization is unshakable right now. I would like to help you. I'd like to be of assistance to you and my team as well. And that's why we always offer a 30-minute consultation at the end of these sessions. If you are struggling to communicate the value of your organization, if you're struggling to communicate the value each team member brings to your organization, and if you're struggling to radiate leadership excellence and draw out the great value that each team member has, and I would ask you to schedule your 30-minute consultation today. And all my team and I want to do is sit down with you and figure out ways where we can help you work through the roadblocks that are keeping you from providing the value that you want to provide. But make no mistake, my friends, our businesses exist to provide value. And it's our goal and our desired high performance to help you bring out that value in every way possible, especially through your leadership. I'm Michael B. Ross, and I would like to invite you to be intentional, be exceptional, and lead.